Welcome back. We found this weird contraption, and pulling the lever raised the platform we're on slightly. Let's see if that accomplished anything else. Ah! It enables the control panel. And it seems like this allows us to set the position of that wheel. Left. This. Oh, it just cycles between them, it seems. That's right. And that's middle where we started, yeah. What does this one do? The hell? Okay. That's... What the hell just happened? Let's do that again. Something flies up into the air, drops some kind of sphere. Sphere knocks the smaller ball down, which weighs down the pipe, and then the sphere crashes and breaks. Something tells me that's not supposed to happen. The last part, at least. And that's, by the way, is the other similarity between Spire and this age that I was talking about in the previous video. Floating rocks, which is the thing that we just saw come up there. So I guess it's not a roller coaster. It's a track for this sphere, which is actually made of ice, although you can't really tell from here or anywhere else in the game, but it is made of ice. I do happen to know that. But it seems that it can't get past here, and since the track continues, I assume it is meant to go past there. But maybe we can do something about that with the control panel. What happens if we move that to the left? Yeah. That was kind of predictable, because obviously this ball is weighing that down way too much. So it's crashing in there, so maybe we should just put it to the right. Oh. Well, that didn't help at all. Seems there's more to this puzzle than just this panel. I assume all this is part of the lesson that Atrus set up, and that therefore we must now also follow it to get to the symbol again. So I guess we should try and figure out how to fix this. One thing you could actually see when it is in this position, you could see it fairly well. When the small wooden ball weighs down this thing, you can see that on the left side it is also connected to something. Couldn't really point to that with the mouse because I couldn't move at that point, but it seems that this end is connected to something that's down in that hut. So something tells me we should take a look at that. I'll also take a closer look at the sphere from here. Apparently the stranger has telescope eyes. Bet you didn't know that. Appears to be a wooden ball here. Wooden balls. Where have we seen that before? Okay. Let's see. Let's check out that hut. At least that also gives us a place to shelter from the rain, should that storm make it here. We're definitely not meant to walk the entire length of that track. It's definitely getting dark. Because there's no platform in between it for quite a lot of it. See more Asian style stuff. Let's see. It seems that the other side of the tube is connected to this. Half a wooden sphere. Okay, well, since there's a wooden sphere on the other side, I guess we need to equalize the weight. I've got some other pieces here. That's metal. I'm gonna call it metal. I don't know if it's metal or stone. Wood, another metal piece. Glass or crystal. These aren't made of ice, unlike the big sphere, because, well, they weigh 4 times more than wood, which is unlikely, considering it's unlikely if it's ice, and they've been sitting around here and not melting, so that seems unlikely too. Another wood piece and another crystal piece. Now we've seen these before, not in piece form, but in ball form, albeit smaller, in Saavedra's study in Jananen, where we learned that 4 glass spheres equals the weight of 1 wooden sphere, and 4 of the metal spheres equals the weight of 1 glass sphere. So if we want to make this equal to the weight of 1 full wooden sphere, well, we'd have to put 4 pieces of wood on there, which we don't have, but we could just put 1 piece of glass on there. That should give it the same weight as a full wooden bowl, which is what's on the other side, isn't it? So that should do the trick. I guess that does mean it should be in the middle, and of course we need to raise the platform before we can actually manipulate this. That should do the trick then, shouldn't it? Or not. Perhaps this ball is not as wooden as we were led to believe. We can only see 1/2 of it here. Because apparently the weights are not equal, because otherwise this would have worked. And unless the spheres that Saavedra had in his office are lying to us about the weights, this should have been equal. Unless, of course, this thing is not made of wood entirely. Let's take a look. See if we can take a look at that ball from somewhere else. There it is. Ah, we can look at it from here. Still seems to be entirely wood. We still haven't seen it from all sides. I wonder if that elevator, if indeed it is an elevator that we saw before, can help us with this. No, it is an elevator. I got that right, at least. Now we can look at this thing from the other side. We see the ball. Yes, there we go. Ah! One piece is made of crystal. And we know it's only this one piece because we could see the other side of this part from below, which was still made of wood. So this is actually only 7/8 wood and 1/8 crystal, making the ball slightly heavier. I wonder what Savidro was doing with those balls. Why does he care how much the weights are in relation to each other? Well, since Savidro made it to Narayan, I guess he must have solved the original puzzles himself, so maybe that was just part of his experiments when he was doing that. It's possible, I suppose. Seems like this ball is just knocked down by the ice sphere when it passes here. It just gets hit. Fortunately, that ice sphere is relatively strong, although it does shatter when it falls into the tube. It does seem to be able to take quite a bit of punishment. And look what we have here. Pages! My attempts to produce a carnivorous hybrid have had limited success. I thought I was making greater progress, but the life that grows in the forest isn't like the plant on Orion. It's much more tenacious, less susceptible to grafts. Perhaps if I try mixing in species from the swamp? Looks like he's talking about Idana here. And in fact, this suggests that he created the plant that captured the bird. I suppose that that's what he's talking about with the carnivorous hybrid. And what we saw in Jananin was a small-scale version of that plant. Those were his attempts to crossbreed that plant. Well, I suppose he did have quite a lot of time to try that in. Although I hope this plant germinates and goes through generations quite quickly. Because otherwise, even if he did start with it 20 years ago, he still would not have made it in time. But who knows? I suppose that was possible to do. It seems he bred a version of that plant that would want to capture the bird, thus preventing us from solving the puzzles in Idana the same way that Sirius and Akanar would have solved them. Which of course makes sense, because Atreus designed those puzzles, and Savidro was expecting Atreus to follow him, so he wants to change the puzzles, hence all the sabotage we've seen, to make things harder on Atreus. That's why he broke the floor of the tusk leading here. That's why he introduced that carnivorous hybrid. Maybe he even was, like I said, based on the crudity of the trap, maybe he even was the one that captured the squee and brought it to Idana. Or maybe he just put that plant in a way or something, I don't know. This isn't the first time that we've seen him talking about sabotage. He's talking about desecrating poems as well. Not sure what that's about. This seems to resemble the wheel here with the half pipe. Seems like he's sketching out ideas for sabotage here. But he didn't do that. He didn't block the wheel. He didn't break the path below it. That's not what he did. He's talking about the spheres. So maybe that's what his experiments were for, that we saw with the balls and testing their weights. He was doing something to this puzzle, but what did he do? Note also that he's talking about something called an orbiter here, which I believe is the thing that creates those ice spheres, which is actually depicted here. And he says that it's not a natural part of its world, so it's not native to materia, it seems, and that it reminds him a little of the shield, whatever that is. If it's the same material, it can't be damaged. Well, obviously the ice sphere itself is very fragile, so he's not talking about that. He's talking about whatever creates that ice sphere. And it seems he couldn't sabotage that, but he has maybe done some sabotage to some of the other devices, including the puzzles here. I'm not certain, by the way, that that really is what the orbiter is. If you search for the orbiter, I believe you will find a concept art image of this age, which does in fact show the thing that creates the spheres and describes it as the orbiter, but that's the only reference to it by that name that I've been able to find. But I don't know what else he could be talking about, so I assume it is that. Let's take a look. We now know that we need to put one piece of crystal on our ball here. Wait a second, I didn't notice that before. There's all kind of shattered fragments here. So I think that's the sabotage. Svidro smashed some pieces. To what end? Well, we need to make this sphere 7 parts wood and 1 part crystal. We already have crystal, but we do not have 3 parts wood. So that's why he broke some stuff. Make the puzzle harder. You can definitely see he broke some of the crystal spheres. I assume he also broke a wooden one. So we need to figure out something else. You might remember there is another experiment to do with weight in Svidro's room on Jananen, which was the little balance with 2 figures on one side and 1 on the other, demonstrating the principle of different distances to a fulcrum, affecting the weights on the balance. Which is in essence what we're doing with the big wheel on the top. So if we can't make this sphere exactly the right weight, maybe we can make it twice as heavy or half as heavy. Because we definitely can't make it the right weight, because this is the equivalent of 4 wood. So putting even 1 more crystal piece on it already makes it too heavy. And even 1 of the metal pieces by itself is already too heavy. So we definitely need to do something else. Now the easiest way to do this is to calculate everything in wood pieces. For example, we have the ball over there, which is made of 7/8 wood and 1/8 crystal. And since crystal is 4 times as heavy as wood, we can in fact say it is the weight equivalent of 11 wood pieces. And that already tells us we can't make it half as heavy, because we can't possibly do 5.5 unless we chop one of these pieces in half. So instead we're going to have to make it twice as heavy, which is 22 wood pieces. Well, we already got 4 on the base. And these are worth 16 wood pieces. Because metal was 4 times as heavy as glass, is 4 times as heavy as wood. So each piece of metal is worth 16 wood pieces. So that brings our weight to 20. Now with this it's 24, so that's too heavy. But with the 2 wood pieces on it. Oh, I guess I didn't drop that properly. There we go. That should be the equivalent of 22 wood pieces, or twice as heavy as the bowl on the other side. Which means that if we move the fulcrum to this side, it should balance out. We'll have to test that in the next video.